Hello friends, looking at current affairs for 15th May. The news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 10. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, Z evokes Panchsheel as India skips meet. So this is regarding the Belt and Road Initiative, the summit meeting which is taking place in China presently. So 14th and 15th May, it's a 2-day summit. So India has refused to send its official representative here. So we know about it. So this summit was initiated and Panchsheel, the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence as they have been stated, this was part of India-China agreement of 1954. They were invoked by Chinese President Xi Jinping at this initiative. So this shows the importance which has been given to India as such by China too, and this is how it wants the Belt and Road Initiative to go ahead to. It would be based on these 5 principles of peaceful coexistence. So allegations which are made that it would result in meddling with the internal affairs of any country, China has clarified that it has no such intention. It will not export its own social system or model of development also on any country. So that is not the intention. Peaceful coexistence is what we believe in, which we endorse. It also became a promoter of globalism. So globalization has now been defended by Chinese presidents. So this is the irony of the situation. We see USA and parts of Europe which are closing up the economy, and now China is endorsing that globalization is important. Countries should connect with each other. Economy, trade should be flourishing amongst countries. So this is what we see. So China has become a huge hub for manufacturing exports, and now we see this is the statement given to. Even Japan, Vietnam, these member representatives were also there in this Belt and Road Forum initiative. So both these countries have serious maritime bilateral disputes with China. Still, their official delegations were here, but India refused to send any delegation. So that is it. Also, though India has opposed sovereignty as the concern is sovereignty with respect to China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project, China has further gone ahead with and signed other projects too. So this is Indus River Cascade project, which is a project for power development. So here this also runs to the disputed Baltistan region in POK, and this project investment MOU has also been signed between China and Pakistan. So this is there. It will generate up to 40,000 megawatt of power. And this speaks about Panchsheel, which was part of the agreement between India and China in 1954. So the 5 points for conduct of bilateral relations which are mentioned in Panchsheel as such are: 1. Mutual respect for each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty. 2nd, mutual non-aggression. 3rd, mutual non-interference in each other's internal affairs. 4th, equality and mutual benefit. And finally, peaceful coexistence. So these are the 5 points for peaceful coexistence and bilateral relations. Next is Pakistan detains Saeed for spreading terror. So Hafiz Saeed, the chief of Jamaat-ud-Dawa, Lashkar-e-Toiba, he was the founder of Lashkar-e-Toiba in 1991 too. He has been accused in India for various terror attacks, starting from Indian Parliament attack in 2001 to even the attack on the Mumbai train, suburban trains as such, explosions which took place here in 2006. Then also the Mumbai terror attacks of 2008. All these Lashkar-e-Toiba and Jamaat-ud-Dawa are accused here, are considered behind these attacks. Jamaat-ud-Dawa is also called the front of LAT, and this has been banned even by United Nations. So after that, Pakistan has also taken actions against Hafiz Saeed. He was put under house arrest earlier too in 2006, and now we see again in 2008 also, after the Mumbai attacks, he was put under house arrest, and now from Jan 2017 also he has been under house arrest. And this case, when it went before the court in Pakistan, the authorities are saying that the accusation against him is that he is spreading terrorism in the name of jihad. So this is the news presently. Then next is over 1,000 displaced in shelling near LOC. So this is regarding Pakistani forces bombing regions here. Around 1,000 civilians have been displaced near the LOC region. Then next is rupees 11,000 crore to be spent on roads in Naxal hit areas. So this is the government's scheme which has been initiated. Road connectivity project for left-wing extremism affected areas scheme. So this is a centrally sponsored scheme initiated last year. It will be a vertical, it will be a part of the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. So in these 24 districts, left-wing extremism affected districts or the districts adjoining, these districts have been selected and they would be provided road connectivity. So this is there. Even major district roads are not to be covered under Gram Sadak Yojana, but they would be covered under this road connectivity project. So these details I have put in the keyword section too. You can refer from that too. So this scheme is important. Generally, schemes are very important for UPSC. So this is regarding this scheme. So 11,000 crore would be spent here on these road projects. Then next is India hopes to win Chinese hearts with mangoes. So this is regarding India-China trade relations with respect to mangoes. So mangoes are exported by India, but exports to China are quite low. Though China imports mangoes in a huge quantity, but not from India. So China is the third largest mango importer globally. But then India's exports as such are not happening, though China has granted market access to Indian mangoes since 2004. So now this would be further strengthened, this aspect of trade relations. Mango festival will be held in China. Also such festival in South Korea is also being planned by India for the first time. So this is the news. The next is IIT Bombay gives leg up to thermal imaging technique. So IIT Bombay scientist team has developed India's first infrared sensors for thermal imaging. So night vision, what we understand by that to cameras, night vision cameras, how can they detect, because light is not available. So generally cameras work on the basis of light, the light reflected. But in these infrared sensors which are there in such cameras, thermal imaging cameras, what is used is infrared light. So this infrared imaging, thermal imaging is done. You can see how it sees, objects. So it's the picture of heat. The infrared energy measure is done and that image is generated. And that is what is used in night vision cameras also. It can be used even for various, medical purposes too. So military security operations requirement is also there for such technology, and also for detecting various forms of cancer, etc. too. This is beneficial. So this is India's first infrared sensor for thermal imaging which has been developed. It was a project initiated in 2010 funded by DRDO. So this is the news here. So you can see they are also called thermographic cameras. So they form images using infrared radiations. So visible light range is this wavelength as such, 400 to 700 nanometers, and infrared cameras wavelength is around 14,000 nanometers. So this is how it functions. The next is minority status only if trusts enroll on NITI site. So NITI Aayog has developed this portal called NGO Darpan. So this portal, it was launched last year, and the government has stated that all NGOs will have to register on this portal if they want government funding. So that was the notification given earlier. So if an NGO is not registered here, it cannot be eligible for government funding. The NGOs are funded by government for various schemes implementation too. So here now another thing which has been brought forth now in this notification by on this NGO Darpan is that all minority institutions, means minority trusts, NGOs, will have to register NGO Darpan too, even if they don't want government funding. So the minority status as such is provided to them, so they have to register. So this is the notification coming forth. It has stated that if there's only one individual organization, then it need not register. But if it's a trust or an NGO as such, society, it has to register. So this is the National Commission for Minority Educational Institutions, which was formed in 2004. This has been providing minority status certificates to various minority institutions. It has to like schools, colleges, etc. So now this mandatory provision has been brought forth for all such NGOs, trusts and societies. So this you can see is the news. Next is defying warnings. North Korea fires yet another missile. So there has been news coming forth that North Korea has test fired another ballistic missile which has landed in the sea near Russia. So this is not going to be liked by Russia as well. It has been put forth. USA has been opposing North Korea for long. China does support it, and it is said to be developing intercontinental ballistic missile. North Korea wants to prepare an ICBM so that it can target US as such. So these steps are being taken, and now this ballistic missile test fired is said. US command also said that this does not seem to be an ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile, because it should have a range of at least 5,500 kilometers or 6,000 as such. So this is there. India has developed intercontinental ballistic missile. USA, China, Russia, India, a few countries, even Israel has ICBMs. So India's ICBM is Agni 5, which is said to have a range of more than 8,000 kilometers, up to 8,000 kilometers too, as estimated by China. So this is the Agni 5 missile of India. It has been inducted into services also. Then next is Center may execute proposed social security law in phases. So this Labour Ministry had in March 2017 proposed that there would be a labour code on social security which will provide social security to entire workforce in the country, including even self-employed agricultural workers, all. So this proposal has to be implemented, but now Labour Ministry has said that it will implement this in phases. So first phase, it will be applicable to only those organizations which are employing 10 or more workers. So smaller organizations should be exempted in the first phase, but you should know that according to 6th economic census, 98.62% of total establishments in India, both agricultural and non-agricultural, employ less than 10 workers. So huge number of organizations are exempted actually too. So this is there. So this is the first time actually the central government is making an initiative to provide universal social security. Social security means there should be provided provident fund provisions, means retirement benefits which are there, even the medical benefits as such while in services. So they have to be provided these. So even employee provident fund organization makes it mandatory for only factories employing at least 20 workers or more. Even State Insurance Act, Employee State Insurance Act also mandates medical benefits for factories with at least 10 workers on. So this is there, but this is proposed to be changed by the government now, and it will be done in phases. Then the last news item is GST. What still needs to be done? So this is regarding the GST Council meet which will take place on May 18-19. So there will be much more in news then. But what we discussed yesterday on GST2, this has been put forth here as well. So this is regarding the GST Council meet before that only. So already 13 meetings have taken place and many things have been finalized. So we'll go through that background too once. So and the issues which still remain are mentioned here. So you can see GST, what is it all about? So this is an indirect tax system, but this will be a value added tax and it includes both goods and services. So that's what GST is, goods and services tax. So indirect taxes are levied by center also and by states also on goods and services. So this integrated single taxation, one tax, one nation, as is the tagline for GST2, will be implemented now. So the products which are there, all good services, they have a cascading taxation. Means center is also taxing, states are also taxing. So this results in increase in prices. So if GST is implemented, then all taxes are subsumed as such into one taxation system, and this will rationalize the taxation system, bring in more tax compliance also, because it's a value added tax too. So value added tax means at one stage whatever taxation has been paid, at the next stage of manufacturing. So if there is cotton is is made into a yarn, and yarn is then made into cloth is made into a garment. So at each stage the taxation is there only on value addition, not the entire product, because at the previous stage already taxation has been done by the government. So this is value added tax too. So for that the entire linkage should be there. So even tax compliance increases because each stage then accounts should tally to the inventory as such, everything should tally. So for that purpose, everything goes online too. There's a GST network, the infrastructure, the IT, information technology backbone for GST. So that also has to be tested. Even all organizations are rationalizing, are trying to link their ERP with the GST system. So GST is basically a destination-based tax. So this ERP is the enterprise resource planning software. So all these organizations will have to even rationalize the ERPs and integrate it with the GST system. So that is also important. So all these steps have been taken. Then GST network can be tested also and can be put into effect. The deadline is 1st July 2017 to implement GST. So what steps have already been taken? We'll see that too. What GST will subsume under it? You can see central excise duty will be subsumed. Value added tax, which has been the one reform which has been done in direct taxes, so that will also be subsumed because this was only for goods. Then service tax, octroi, entry tax, all will be subsumed. Countervailing duty, purchase tax, so these would be subsumed. Even luxury tax, you can see here the taxes on lottery, betting, The taxes you can see in blue color which are shown are actually state taxes, others are center taxes. Entertainment tax is also state related. Local body levy taxes will not be subsumed under GST. So this details are provided. So all these will be subsumed. The stages which were there. So first the GST bill has been passed, the constitutional amendment bill has been passed, and after that GST Council has also been established as such. And after the GST Council has been established, and various bills have been finalized on central GST, state GST, integrated GST, and all these bills also have been passed. Central legislatures have also been passed. The state GST bills have to be passed by each state too. So that process is underway. GST network, as I said, the IT backbone of GST, this has also been put in place and is being tested presently. So all these steps have been taken. What GST will not replace is also mentioned here. Basic custom duty will not be replaced. Entertainment tax levied by local authorities will not be replaced. So it has been proposed long back. It was Kelkar Task Force in 2003 which had suggested that a goods and services tax based on value-added tax principle should be implemented. But then it took a long time to finally make it come into effect. So you can see here, the idea was put forth by then Finance Minister Mr. Chidambaram in 2005. A constitution of a joint working group was also done of empowered committee of state finance ministers to look into this GST roadmap too. And finally the constitutional amendment bill was also formulated and put into effect. So this you can see 13th Finance Commission had also given its report on GST. That bill could not come into effect because of the government change, and now the revised constitutional amendment bill which was put forth by present NDA government was implemented, and GST Council has also been formed, and the last meeting we'll see presently, one meeting which is due, will take place. We'll get more details about what will be finalized on various provisions here, and also it has to decide the taxation rates. So taxation rates of various commodities will also come forth later. Because at what slab each commodity would be taxed, that finalization also has to be done. But then that is not a concern for organizations and for the software as such too, because that can just be a number fed in and the entire system can be put into place. That aspect is delayed too, because if this is announced presently what would be the taxation rates, and if there is any increase or decrease, then it would result in hoarding of various commodities, and such practices also initiating in the market. So government has not announced the taxation rates for various commodities and services, goods and services. So that is also pending specifically. So other issues which require clarity presently are, one is place of supply rules for service companies. So if it's a service providing company, then where is the service provided? How would it be determined? Whether it is interstate or intrastate, how would it be determined? This clarity is required so that we can know whether integrated GST would apply or not. So this clarification is required. Another issue is regarding the commodities where billing address is different from shipping address. Then in those cases, how the configuration should be done for ERP softwares, because in ERP, enterprise resource planning softwares in various organizations, GST is put as a destination based tax. So their clarity of rules is required for this aspect too. Like an example is also given. If a Mumbai edition of Delhi based newspaper is carrying an advertisement, so that would be billed in Mumbai. So then the establishment has to prove that it has its major presence in Mumbai as such, and then it can print its invoices in Mumbai and not in Delhi. So such kind of clarification is also required, where the billing address, shipping address, how should it be. Then third issue is regarding e-way bills. So this we had discussed earlier too. So under GST network, a way bill would be provided for all goods as such. So transport of goods means it would be provided to all three. The suppliers, transporters, and those would be receiving it. So how this reconciliation of way bills would take place is a concern, because earlier too the transaction stays incomplete unless and until the recipient accepts the way bill. So how that would take place under e-way bill also is a concern. So then only the transaction can be closed in the GST network too. So this clarification is required. Then another issue is that small and medium enterprises who will be incorporated, becoming part of GST, then they will have to overhaul and computerize the systems too. Otherwise, this cannot be put into effect, because there's for each commodity as such too, there is HSN code, harmonized system of nomenclature code for individual products. So this will require a computer. It's a 10-digit code. So first 4 digits define the category and the next 4 digits the exact product. So when various commodities in the same category will have similar same first 4 digits. So this system computerization is also important so that the GST can be put into effect. So these things are there. So after May 18-19 meeting of GST Council, further rules will be clarified. After that, software has to be finalized by various organizations. It has to be tested. So this will have very little time because from 1st of July, GST would come into effect. So these points are highlighted. So these are the news items. Thank you.